Hello and welcome to another episode of FCC Fan TV. Nick here with you today and Cody. Cody, that was abysmal.
Yeah. That's pretty much as I can say. It's just yeah. It was
All right,
bad.
and end episode. That's all. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we need to say. It was bad. I will say though, the only thing that brought a smile to my face during the game almost really had nothing to do with the game. So this was the first match that Nick and I had watched together this year. And for anyone that doesn't know me, I am a diehard Chelsea supporter. And Chelsea played at 12:30 against West Ham, with FCC playing at 1. So Nick and I were watching. We had two TVs, one on Chelsea West Ham and one on the FC Cincinnati game. And coincidentally, as Chelsea scored their only goal, was like 2 seconds later, Medina scored New York's first goal. So I, no one else besides me was really paying attention to the Chelsea game. So when Timo Werner scored, I screamed, was happy. And as Medina scored, and I don't think anyone else in the room really knew because no one else was watching the Chelsea match. So they're like, "Why the heck is he standing up cheering for New York?" Then realized I was actually cheering for Chelsea. So it was poor timing, which was funny, but that's the big story of the day because that's the only thing that brought a smile to my face throughout that entire match, besides Chelsea winning. But this isn't a Chelsea podcast, so
And it never will be.
that's right. That's fair. No. So only smile. And we have a few things to talk about today where we tried to bring out some optimism in the match, but it's not much.
Yeah, so we'll just jump right into it there, Cody. You brought up the first goal. So I just wanted to we got some screen stills as we normally do. Try to just break down like what's kind of happening on these goals and what's kind of been some themes here. Is just like, man, just poor set piece defending. Like
Yep.
I don't really know how else to describe it. Like it's just not good. And
No, and it's not the same person. Not that you can ever blame a goal usually on one individual, but it's even in these five goals this game, it wasn't like, oh, they're targeting Hagland, and he's getting beat every time. No, they're spraying it wherever they needed to, and our team is dysfunctional on set pieces, and it's kind of unbelievable. If that's all they do during this week is practice, whether they want to play marking each man, or if they're going to play zonal marking, I don't care what it is, fix it. Make it better. You're not going to fix it in a week, but dear God, spend all week on defensive set pieces.
yeah, so I want to touch on that kind of a little more at the end of this. I got some thoughts, just kind of that poor set piece defending, but just kind of going over the first one here. The corner here is played, and you can kind of see at the far post, it's Medina who scores this. He was marked by Brenner, and you can literally watch Brenner in this frame, watch the corner, turn around, his whole head rotates, sees the ball over there, gets played back across. You see his head rotate back again, watch Medina put it in the net, and then he starts looking around, and then I think it kind of hits him like, oh crap, that was my man. And just general
Yeah.
lack of just awareness to the defensive end of on most of these set pieces. Yeah, I think most of them, maybe besides the last one where he just got blasted off of Hagelin right into the goal. Or it might have been blasted off. Either way, the last one just kind of was
It
a
was
weird ricochet. Like it felt,
it was Hagelin because I was wondering like, oh, they're going to count that as an own goal, which would be his second of the game, but they actually did. They counted it for Castellanos, not Hagelin.
yeah,
But it was Hagelin.
yeah. So that's just kind of one of those that it set a bad tone. We really didn't know it was going to set a bad tone completely for the rest of the game until the second half. Because honestly, after this one, we FC settled back down. Like they kind of got better into their defensive shape, and honestly, the rest of the first half wasn't very disappointing for me. I think we had a few things that were kind of really nice here. There was a couple nice strings of passes in the 15th. And I'm just going to apologize for the poor kind of visual quality here, but the sight lines they have on the stream for at NYCFC and Yankee Stadium, which is something else we can touch on. I always hate playing there. Like it's got the stupid infield. I'd rather play on turf some more. Like stupid infield patch, which you can see affected both teams in this game negatively. And then just like watching this game as a spectator, you just feel like you're watching it through a telescope. So
Well, half of the I felt like half the match, my attention was drawn to the guy they had in like a foam
yeah,
box
and you can
with
see
the
here
zone
the
camera
image in
downfield.
the bottom right, just chilling right next to the touchline, and it's like, why is he that close? First of all,
Well, like, and that's where the field camera is right above
hmm
him, so he's in the center frame most of the time. And my eye just kept on dragging down, like, oh, look at that guy, and then it's like, oh, where's the ball?
mine was the
That's one of the worst
pitcher's
places to
mound that
play.
they had covered up with the NYCFC logo. That one always got me because I always thought it was in play for some reason, thinking it was a logo on the field. But at this game, like this is one of the nice strings that we did get in the first half. Like this ball starts here in to the middle here. This was a pass by a center back through the press that was then one touched on and flipped and turned into a nice counter attack where we actually got numbers forward. And it was kind of one of those things like, oh, like that's actually a very nice play. A nice ball played through, a quick decision, a one touch into the, I believe it's Calvin Harris right there. That's kind of in between the lines. He gets it, plays the ball back into space, and they just kind of go on. And it's one of those things is like, all right, we gave up the early goal. It stinks. We got caught. I don't know, ball watching, pants down, whatever analogy you want to use. And it's like, all right, we're going to build into this game. We're going to get a little bit better. And then we kind of string into another one a little later with our pressure. This is what I was talking about, kind of both teams burned by the infield here. Sean Johnson plays a slow ball across out to the left back, and Cruz pounces on it. And this one, it kind of gets stuck under his feet. I think he probably should have just one-timed it back to the top of the box. And I believe it's Kubo right there. And just kind of do a little bit better. But the same thing that affects why that ball gets there with our pressure is the same kind of reason nothing really comes of this. He takes a dribble, and it just kind of dies right in between his feet. But it was one of those things that shows like our early pressure is kind of, it works. Like Cruz was a very willing presser this game. I mean, unfortunately, I think that's the best thing I can say. But once again, I hate seeing him played out of position at the 10 because I think it just kind of takes away his best attribute, which is the pressure he puts on the ball, which he did a great job of this, filling that role of Acosta. But I mean, we didn't even touch on that. Acosta ruled out of that day, we found out, with an elbow injury day to day. Hopefully it's nothing too major. And the other big injury in this one with Teton getting ruled out right before the game. And it's just like, man, those are two big losses. And then you kind of give up the early goal. And it looked like we were going to battle through some adversity. And then everyone who knows the final score, like we didn't. But let's kind of actually keep on a positive note. Cody, you might be impressed with this one. Joe Zhao out here, this is kind of like a zoom in, played across into the middle of the box where we actually had four men in there off a counter, and just Brenner got out jumped. And it was very nice to see an actual, it looked like a well hit delivery, pace on it, kind of knuckled down, and, center back beat Brenner to the ball. But another kind of nice thing,
Yeah.
numbers in the box, off of an attack, and Zhao makes the right decision, the only one he really has here, and just kind of puts it in there into danger and see if we can make something happen.
Yeah. So Zhao, and I'll actually say this for Kubo too, both essentially playing, they're not new players, they're just playing new positions. Did they look great? No, not at
I think
all.
Kubo
Did they look better than game one? Yeah, both of them
I think
did.
Kubo looked
Uh,
substantially better in all facets. He just looked more incisive, turning with the ball, willing to drive upfield, and honestly, like I think for the least of the first half, like they played pretty well defensively, him and Makoto together.
yeah, no, there's definitely some bright spots to take out of this. Those two in their newer positions looked a lot better. We did get to see Cruz, which a lot of us wanted to, not in the situation we wanted to see him in. He's not a 10. He's never been a 10. We had to throw him in there, and he did as best as you could hope that he could do in a position that he's really not suited for. Brenner, I hope this is the worst game we see from him because not only defensively, he wasn't there offensively either. He had the one kick in the 70th minute that was right in front of goal that Sean Johnson blocked.
Yeah, he kicked it right
And
into him.
that credit to Sean Johnson, two excellent saves in a row. It sucked that we couldn't get a goal out of that, but the only really goal chances I can distinctly remember off the top of my head were Calvin Harris trying to put two on, and those were really good shots. Calvin Harris is one we can actually take away from this. He looked a lot better.
Yeah, we can pull that up here too. We have MLS's site for the stats here. Kind of what you were talking about, real chances. It was actually very interesting to see. The expected goals of this game were very even despite the disparity of shots on target and just total shots in general. 22 for NYCFC, 13 for us actually. 5 on goal, the 10 on goal. Where are we at here? Yeah, the expected goal 1.8 to 1.4. So honestly, once again, just kind of keeping the positive of the first half here. I don't think the first half besides the goal off the set piece, which we'll say 4 more times later on, that they did poorly. Like there were never really many moments of danger. The battle was kind of in the middle third for most of it. Teams both turning it over, nothing really incisive coming from it. But for us, that was a big improvement of how Kubo Makoto just kind of got run through. I will say by a much more athletic, fast-paced midfield for Nashville than we talked about Keaton Parks and Sands. Not necessarily the ones that are kind of going to burn you that way, but it was definitely nice to see that they could do that, and just unfortunately didn't quite keep up with it.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing I'd like to see this team do better is control possession. When you get the ball, I feel like they're trying to do too much with it too quickly. Work your way up the pitch. You know, it just every time we have the ball, I almost feel like it's gone not even 5 seconds later, unless we get a clean break of some
Yeah,
sort.
I
So
was
that's
Yeah, I will say it does, most of our attacks kind of look like the one here, and right in the 31st minute, we force a turnover and numbers get forward, but it looks like our entire offensive game plan is to hit on the counter, and we don't really have any other tricks in the bag whatsoever right now. Like this is just kind of another one we kind of forced a turnover, broke through their initial second press. Now, as you can see, Zhao got the ball in space here, and we actually had a lot of numbers up. The NYCFC here, you can see, did a great job getting back in defense here. But it's just kind of like once this stalled out, that it just stalled out. We lost possession and they went right back the other way. And then also just kind of the same thing later in the first half. We forced a turnover and we immediately just try to rip off towards goal against not really an advantage. I think that's one thing I've noticed is we try to hit that counter repeatedly, even if it's not on. There is one here, and Kubo played like a ball, try to slip Brenner in from about midfield, but there were already 3 defenders back. Like even if that ball connects, like he's just surrounded instead of, like you said, keeping it, trying to hold the possession. I think that's been the most damning thing for this team off of even the last 10 games of last year into this is we still don't look like we know what we want to do when we have the ball.
So the one thing I will say about this team and where I can't fault them is that even last year to this year, there's been no cohesion of players really uh, in the midfield or up front. So it's almost hard to argue like, oh well, we can only counter or we can't maintain possession or vice versa because you don't know, like this team almost doesn't know who they're playing with game by game. They've never had a chance game over game over game to play with the same guy in front of them. And that's something I'd like to see further on down the season to see, if in 10 games, if we're talking about the same exact thing, like this team has no idea what to do once they get with the ball, that's a huge issue. But if we can slowly see progression throughout the season where it's like, okay, now that we've seen Barreal and Zhao on the right side for 5 games, you can see their cohesion getting better. Or, well, hopefully Acosta, Acosta Brenner, or Matarita, Harris or Lacadia. Some kind of cohesion between even from the building the back all the way up to the front.
Yeah, and like I said, it feels a little bit a harp on a team creating chances. As we were talking about, like the pressure, turnover, and try to hit quick on the counter. We did it a couple more times in that first half. Well, I'll keep saying first half because that's about the only bright spots we had. We forced a turnover in the middle of the field here, like right after the last one we showed, and we just play this ball quickly into space, and it leads to a Calvin Harris shot. and then like it's a good way to generate offense. I just would prefer it to not be our only way. And just kind of the last one, same sort of thing. 41st here. Kubo, we forced a turnover farther back up near the center circle. He just turns and just takes it and drives, which I really like to see. Like I said, Kubo much better this game. Just making the right, like making quick. It's like same thing as Harris, making those quick decisions and just sort of making the honestly the right decisions most of it. And like I said, he drove ball pop free, and this was one of our other best shots of the game. Calvin Harris from deep forced a very nice save from Sean Johnson going to his left. So like I don't want to say we shouldn't try and hit teams on the counter. I just think at this point we need to show we have more an offensive repertoire than bunkering and countering, which
Yeah.
unfortunately has not been the case in season all last season and the start of this.
No, the only time it looked okay was in the MLS's back tournament. Like that bunkering, we essentially parked the bus and countered off of it, and it looked okay. But we've never been able to develop out of that. Like obviously the team's tried. We're not sitting back there with 8 guys back there most of the match. But you almost wonder if it'd be more effective at this point, just to almost go back to the basic root of okay, let's bring it all back and work our way back out again.
We
It was
literally don't
boring,
have
but
even
it
the
worked.
personnel to bunker at this point, unfortunately. You need
Well,
center
that
backs
and
to
if we're
bunker.
playing that and we're playing, Zhao and Matarita, who are literally supposed to get
Yeah,
upfield.
so if we actually
Uh,
had quality center backs, it could be an option, but we also signed how many wingers do we have on the roster? 6?
oh, speaking of which, Atanga practiced for the first time today, I believe.
Yep. Can he
So
play center back? I think some of the points that we're coming to is just that the roster itself is not it's not helping itself at this point with some of the things.
no.
So another thing to touch on after we get through the rest of the game here. So this is where it starts to get real negative. And one thing I highlighted here, which feels really bad to highlight, keep like harping on Kubo for things. This is the 53rd minute, and there's a lot of space between Kubo and his man here, and I had to cut it off because one, I just didn't video clip it. The reason there's so much space, he just gets shoved 3 feet away for him to rise up and get this header and put it in. Like off of this, it was kind of just bodied, like man amongst boys here. Literally, arms just kind of pushed him off as. And they said you could call for a foul if you want, but in MLS and soccer, guys are allowed to shove each other on set pieces, and it's kind of becomes a physical battle, and it's just who wants to win more. And as we kind of keep going along in this game, we don't seem to want it more. And this is just kind of one of the
Well,
examples of it.
and I don't know if you noticed too, but it's almost a timing issue as well. Like Hagelin went up on some of these, I believe on 2 of the goals, but on some of the set pieces in general, he went up for it. He just didn't time it right and whiffed, and then that freed his man up. But it's like he knows what he's doing, and I'm not blaming Hagelin for the entire match or anything.
No, we had
Although,
the same one we
yeah, he
highlighted.
realistically should have two own goals.
I had the same one against
But
Nashville we highlighted that he jumped and was 2 feet away from Walker Zimmerman and just missed it. And it's just, man, like if
it's
that's
a problem. It's already becoming a pattern.
and that's just you hope it's one of those early season things where the timing isn't there and it just gets better, but kind of attention to detail keeps haunting this team, and we can kind of see it here.
Maybe it's an aerodynamics thing with the ponytail.
Possibly. So next thing we kind of look at where attention to detail goes awry is the Sorensen, I believe is how you say it, free kick that he just scores on. I really don't know if how to credit this. Good free kick, yes. Location, yes. I think Cropper gets caught leaning a little bit. You can kind of see here. And then I believe I can't tell if it's Brenner again or who's on the end of the wall on the right side. Is when you watch them jump on the video, they literally go from facing the ball, jump, completely turn around, and the ball just goes right around them. It's like it's just one of those little details. It's like if you're in that wall and you turn and you jump, you're not doing your job in the wall. Like there should have
Yeah.
been no reason here that when he jumps, he can't see this ball coming and try to flail at it. And then I think this is a little bit on Cropper a bit too, to where like you have to make sure that wall is in a position to where they can't curl it around them, especially low. It's not like this shot even really left the ground. It was low and it just went right around them. And it was just like, it felt like maybe if Teton's in there, he gets that wall in a little better location, maybe makes a better jump on it. Like I said, you can kind of see the space he was leaving open here, and he just wasn't ready for it to be a low free kick. And whether even if it was a high one, I doubt he gets there either, because it looks like he just wasn't set. Also, when Thornton goes to take this, him and Morales were kind of talking a little bit, whistle had blown, and he just goes, and it looks like it caught him by surprise, which also looks bad then, because if we're talking attention to detail, if your goalkeeper gets caught by surprise on a free kick and your wall jumps and misses and completely turns away from it, it's just more mistakes building on each other.
And that's one thing we haven't really talked about yet. We said Teton, he was pulled right before the match. So, I mean, they kind of threw Cody Cropper in there, but he did not look good.
No, and I think once especially after the second goal, he just looked shook. Like he couldn't, he wasn't passing it well. He was taking huge risks on some of his kicks, and for a player that hasn't played in 2 years, basically since I think it was May 2019 was his last start. Like I liked what he was trying to do, but you could just tell he just didn't. He wasn't really feeling it. Like he just kind of lost the confidence, and honestly, you could see the entire team, especially after this one, heads went down. Like New York City FC was smelled blood in the water after the second one, and especially after this one. Like their press picked up. They were winning every 50-50 ball, and you can tell which team wanted it more. Like they didn't sit back after 3. Like they were coming out here 4 goals and to get this season started on the right foot for them. And it was very disappointing to see that like kind of morale on our side.
Yeah. And you got to wonder, Acosta's been here for what, 4 weeks now? I think a month. Is he really the heartbeat already? I don't know. There's got to be an answer. Matt Reed has tried to be, as you pointed out when you were down in Nashville. Something that didn't show on TV was him trying to get the team amped up for the second half. I don't know what this team needs, but I'm gonna just try and forget the second half of this match ever happened. In my head, it was 1-0. We looked okay. on to Orlando.
I will show one nice moment from the second half. Oh, wrong 70th minute picture there. Pulled up the Nashville one. This was about the only nice part that we really had that I could find. This is led to the corner we had there, where Brenner kicked it to Sean Johnson, saved the Pedersen header, then Pedersen skied it. Harris Madunanen's in. Lacadia makes a very nice run from midfield here. Harris plays him in, as well as played obviously before, definitely on sides. Then Lacadia turns, takes it down to the touchline, and tries to play a ball back across here to the runner. And then it gets deflected out for a corner, which leads to our next 2 best shots. And it was nice to see some players still making the runs, trying to make those passes, just kind of really fighting. And I was glad to see it was Lacadia, because we all saw after the game, he went on Instagram and posted to his story, basically apologizing for the team that none of them played to the level that the fans deserve. So that was kind of nice to see someone take accountability for the team. And one of the players that has to, even though once again came in the 60th minute, didn't really have a chance to impact the game, because by the time it goes there, we're already down 3-0. Like you can't, like, barring some Herculean effort, you're not going to be able to do much. So it was kind of just still nice to see. Makes that run in the flow of the game, gets us a corner. And honestly, on the corner, the reason Brenner gets the shot is Lacadia wins his header and nods it back across the box, goes up and beats his man and puts the ball right where he should for a dangerous spot, which really should have been at least 1 goal. Brenner kicked it right at Sean Johnson for the first one. Still nice save. And then the real nice save was that Pedersen one, where he gets up off the ground and smacks one away from the far corner. So brilliant piece of goalkeeping there from Sean Johnson. But this was like one positive. It was like Lacadia came in, made the nice run, made the nice on the corner, did nod it back across, exactly what he should be doing. Tried to find some positive the second half, and this was really about it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm ready to forget the second half ever happened and just move on to Orlando.
Well, then let's look at the last little thing I have here. Their last goal comes off a short corner. we didn't play it well at all. Zhao's out there basically by himself, 2-on-1 on an island, and then ball's just hurled in. Like
Yep.
time, space, you can't leave somebody the caliber up there just to score that. It was just too easy. And at that point, you could tell we checked out. No one came running out there. Like I said, I don't blame Zhao on this. He's out there 2-on-1 with Maxi Morales, and I believe it's Medina again. Might have been Castellano.
Yeah, no, Medina had the
Okay,
brace. Yeah,
so
is it 87th minute? I believe.
it's 83rd. Yeah. So
Okay, I believe it was Medina.
yeah, and then just kind of to really emphasize why this was just kind of felt deja vu. Our sweet pass map here, Brenner's the only person on the other side of the field, and he's barely across the circle. And it's just like, that felt right. You can see here that 5-minute intervals of possession were the dark blue bars. We had 1, 2, 3 spurts where we had more of the possession than they did for a 5-minute interval tracked by MLS's website. The numbers made it seem closer than it was because really it just felt like it kind of sounds right.
I don't think I could tell. I don't think I could tell you once. So the fact there's three is actually I don't want to say a pleasant surprise. We should have more than that, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what a 5-minute spell, a good 5-minute spell looked like.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's
this game was just sad.
No, it felt like some of those last year, and it's just like, man, like we sat through it and thought we were done with it. Maybe not like done with losing. I think we all expected that it's going to be tough here until center back help comes in, Van der Werf's healthy, maybe some more defensive reinforcements. I think we all expected we were going to give up goals again. I think we all expected to score them. Obviously, in this game, our designated player, attacking 10, did not play. Our goalie, who was goalie of the week, didn't play. But it still just felt like this is the kind of thing where when that doesn't happen, the team needs to bunker down, play smart, pay attention to details, not give up a set piece goal, let alone 5 set piece goals. And it just makes you wonder, like, what's going on in training. Like, this attention to detail, it picks up through the week. Anybody who's kind of played anything, you hear it in every sport. We practiced well this week. The guys, they were hitting their spots. The plays looked crisp. They knew what they were doing. And then you get to the game and you see these guys just ball watching, just losing track of runners, not closing stuff down. And it obviously starts during the week. So I don't know if that's condemning the players or the coach, both. It's just kind of at a loss. So some of these guys obviously played all last year, and it feels like they're getting accustomed to losing. And as soon as that happens, we can't afford to turn over the roster again at this point that quickly.
Well, as soon as that happens, you've already lost.
Yeah.
You get that mentality in you've already lost the match before it even starts. Doesn't matter who you're playing. We could be playing I don't want to call us the worst team, but as of right now, we are.
Red Bull's behind us. Red Bull New York's behind us. Thank you very much.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay, so let's take Red Bull for. That's right, Frankie. So, but let's take Red Bull
and
for
Goodman,
example.
Who had a goal though.
Goodman got his first MLS goal, so congrats to him. But let's take Red Bull for a second. Right now, if we were to go into play, we shouldn't have any reason to say, "Oh, we can't beat this team." Although that's what I was saying against New York City SC.
To be fair, that was before Acosta.
Yeah, but you still can't go in. Okay, we lost Acosta. I'm assuming
that
the
shouldn't
team
be a
way
5-goal
before
swing.
us. Exactly, and neither goalie would be obviously more pertinent to a 5-goal swing, but we brought in a guy that's had years of MLS experience. It's not a USL straight out of USL guy. It's not no, but I'm saying it's not an 18-year-old kid that we just drafted. The man's played before. I understand he hasn't played in 2 years. I understand that Teton literally dropped like 15 minutes before kickoff, but he looked bad. It's like he had never played goalie at a professional level before. And if this team is gonna keep going the route that they're going, which is right now 7 straight goals given up. We scored the first 2 in Nashville. We've given up 7 straight. We've had very few. I can literally remember 3 chances. We might have had 5 shots on goal, but I can remember 3 chances in this game The one where Sean Johnson saved uh, Brenner's and Pedersen's, and then the 2 Calvin Harris shots. If that's our whole offense, we're in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. And Acosta, as much as Acosta, good as Acosta is, and hopefully will be, and hopefully this isn't a long-term injury, if he's out, I still don't want our mindset to be like, well, Acosta's out, like there goes the season. Someone's got to step up, and this team has to have that mentality. The next man up mentality is a real thing, and this team's got to develop it.
Yeah.
I think I rambled on a little bit
No.
there, but it's so disheartening after
Last season,
we
all of
put
last season. It's
well, even the first season. We are the only Minnesota, but we're one of 2 expansion teams that I can think of, and we don't know what's going to happen with Austin yet.
who picked up their
That
first win,
hasn't at least they did
3-1.
uh 3-1, which I believe that's what we beat the Timbers. Our first, wasn't it 3-1 for our first MLS one? Was it
Believe so. All I remember is Alan Cruz back healing
maybe
him
it's
all.
4-1?
I want back heel Alan Cruz back. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
But just like but at least that first team.
I'm so disheartened. I'm just disheartened, and I was hoping this year would be different. And so far through 2 games, it hasn't been. And I want it to turn around. I really just want it to turn around.
And here's the thing: even the 2019 team was obviously not good, but they tried. Like those dudes fought. Like they wanted. You could see how much it hurt them when the results weren't coming. I'm going to bring up, obviously, I don't know if everyone knows me. Ledesma is my favorite FC player so far in our short history, and the man just cared. Like you still see it now. He still loves this.
He still
club.
does.
Like, and you would never question any sort of the effort he put in week to week. Like, came out there no matter what, and we just look like we lack that, and it takes more than one player to kind of get it to that level. But you need someone, and I don't know who's going to step up. Obviously, like I said, Matt Rita looks like he wants to try, knows what he was brought in for. Acosta knows what he was brought in for. But we don't really even have many like MLS veterans on this team. I honestly just thinking right off the top of my head, Acosta and Matt Rita, like Hagelin's been in here, but it's been with us. Teton here with us. Cruz here with us.
Well, obviously Brenner's new. Calvin Harris is a
Rookie.
first year. Barrial we brought in from South America. Kubo we brought in from Germany. I'm just trying to think of the starters.
No one here. We have no
Either
MLS
way, yes.
experience on this team besides 2 players who we're really counting on, and I think it was a good reason. It's one of the reasons why I also liked us making Acosta that number 10 because he knows what he needs to do to succeed in this league. And frankly,
Right.
no one else on this team looks like they know how to succeed in this league. Front office down to the players, down to the water boy. Water boy can't even throw a ball like water bottle on the field in MLS quality, as far as I'm concerned.
Not to keep being a Debbie Downer, but that's going to be my next point. Once again, my hope and prayer is that we turn this around and we put out a decent season. That's all I'm asking for. And that's what we were promised early on when we first made the MLS. The front office said when we open the stadium is basically when we're going to put the team on the field ready to go win playoff games. I hope that's true. If it's not, it's time for a front office change.
I will say this.
A complete front office change.
None of these players, besides, like you said, Cruz, really, at this point, have seen the fans in person that for FC Cincinnati, one of the reasons why we're in MLS was how much we packed Nippert, how crazy it was, how loud it was. And Teton. But just to show them we care. Like in person and not just on Twitter. And I think more than almost maybe any team, like you could say like the expansion team Austin needs to see their fans. I think it's this team. Even as small as we saw today, the email went out, 6,000 people. It's got to be loud. It's got to be raucous. And they got to show these players we want it and we care. And I think that'll do a lot of good for this team getting to that home opener. I hope it's an off the back of another 5-0 loss or a poor display in Orlando. But I really think that first home game, hopefully it's a turning point. Already, it's early to talk about turning points, but it really is for a lot of these guys. If they don't realize
the next match is huge.
If they don't realize how much this means here, and they can't play to the level that we kind of everyone wants them to because of how much the fans care, It's going to be a long season. Like I'm really hoping that we get through Orlando, nothing embarrassing. Play attention to detail, come out of there with. I don't expect. I'm not predicting a win from when we're doing Orlando preview. I'm probably if we're lucky 3-1. Honestly, Orlando's a good team, playoff caliber, top 4 last year, talent across the field. Especially we'll get into Acosta and Titi don't play when we do the preview. Hopefully we have more answers for that. But I think we need to get home without having our tails beaten between our legs in 3 straight games. And I think they just need to see people cheering them on. They haven't had it in a full season. Some of these players have never seen it here, and I'm sure that's what something was sold to them about coming here.
Well, that's literally was one of the reasons Brenner said he decided on FC Cincinnati is they showed him videos of Nippert Stadium packed and screaming, and that was a decision. And it doesn't matter what sport it is; it can be American football, uh, basketball, hockey, cricket. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You ask any of those athletes, and they say if they're getting booed or cheered, fan interaction it boosts. It
Yeah,
just it's a big boost.
honestly, I watched because like I said, Man City fan. I watching the EFL Cup.
Baseball. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
missing an actual major sport here. I'm like, what am I missing? Baseball.
but watching the EFL Cup Sunday with fans in the stands at Wembley, and you could just kind of tell the players the first 15, 20 more minutes, they were more up for it. Like, it just felt different. Like, they were flying into tackles, they were just making hard plays. And you can't tell me that wasn't because there were actual live people cheering, like, instead of crowd noise. Like, it's just, like I said, I think these guys just need to see how much this team matters to the fans. And I really hope that first game, it comes out, it's loud, there's smoke, there's tifos, there's banners, there's flags, there's people going crazy. I don't care. Like 20 people try to storm the field right before the game starts. I don't care. It needs
Yeah.
to be a zoo. And these players need to see how much it means so they can understand the kind of level that they have to bring for this fan base. Because frankly, we want it. Everyone here wants it, and no one like it's kind of getting to a turning point very quickly for this franchise. It feels like, at least from the more vocal side of the fan base. Like, man, like I think there'd be nothing better for we get to the home opener after just hopefully a solid, like I said, a draw would be nice, but not getting blown out by Orlando, and just getting them here and watching one of them score a goal. Watch Brenner score a goal. Watch Acosta score a goal, and just watch who's there in the Bailey and around the stadium just kind of go crazy. And I hope it's right. I hope the first goal, I hope it's Brenner. I hope it's Acosta. I hope it's right in front of the Bailey. I hope they can see everyone going crazy, and I hope they all go right for it. In my ideal world, Brenner kisses the badge right in front of the Bailey. Everyone loses it, and we just like. But I think that's kind of the kind of player he is, just from seeing what it is. Like he even in these games he's losses, I've been impressed with Brenner. Like he's pressing, he's tracking back. Like sure he was responsible possibly for a couple of set piece goals, but he's still a young player. But like the rest of the game, he's still showing that sort of willingness. And I just think, especially like he's the type of player that'll feed off of that energy, and I hope the rest of the team is too. They haven't had it, and I think it's hopefully we can inspire it a little bit when it gets to there.
Yeah. And I don't think we need to keep rambling on about it. It's
Yeah,
pretty clear what we want. Uh, and not that the past whoever's listening to this, the past 10 minutes, I feel like him and I just kind of went back and forth of rambling on, but we're just coming from two disheartened fans that want to see winning. I would, soccer's my favorite sport. Nick, pretty safe to
yeah,
assume
close.
soccer, maybe a little bit of basketball for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're in season now. It's soccer. I guess what season? Soccer's
yeah.
year round at this point, but yeah,
So you're just talking to two guys that love the sport and we just want winning soccer, and we know what it looks like, and we know we don't. As Cincinnati guys, born and raised, both of us, we're Bengals and Reds fans. We know what Cincinnati sports are. We don't want FC Cincinnati to go down that path. We want nothing but success for this club. So
no. And honestly, just under
it's
your
been
point,
2 games.
for every other sport we follow in the city, it's the players that care that the city gets behind. Whether how
Oh,
long they were
absolutely.
here, you know this probably from just like the last couple Red seasons. My favorite part was the beginning of that season with Puig and Dietrich, and even this one to start it off with Castellanos. It was just they just care. Like you can just see it. Everything they do is about trying to win and to make their teammates better. And I just want to see that for this team, at least for a little bit. Like, even just, I don't know if it'll be sustained this season, but just to see someone just kind of put the team on their, as much as you can in an 11v11 team sport, but just put the team on your back and just do something. Like, just,
Yeah. Yeah. No, we just want to see, you know, I'll even take 500 soccer at this point. You know, that doesn't
yeah.
have to be winning. Give me a 500 team that gives a shit, and I'm all in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all well. Okay, they have my money anyways. I'm all in regardless. But my heart is really back in it because right now I'm just
Yeah.
disheartened. Of
We
course,
watched
I'll
that
be
game
watching
together.
Orlando.
After the third goal went in, I was just kind of I was on your other couch, and we were just kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
like this.
I even said a few times to you like, well, at least Chelsea won for me today. Like at least I have something
Yeah.
because that was just it smacked it right out of me.
All I had was the beer
Uh,
in my hand. That's what I was just sitting on the couch with the beer, watching another shellacking, and it felt
yeah,
bad. It still feels bad, and I sound dumb here. I just want to feel good. Like,
yeah. No, but I mean, now granted, we're 2 games into the season, and normally for any other team, I wouldn't freak out
yeah,
over two
normally any other
games.
team would be Aaron Rodgers relax right now, but we're not any other
But
team. We are stuck.
no, and we've seen this for 2 years straight. If this was a new thing, I'd be like, oh man, this is a bad loss, but we'll rebound. But we've seen this for 2 straight seasons, and we saw the same exact thing in this past match. And we saw the only time we haven't seen it was for the first 15 minutes against Nashville, because the other 75 we saw it, and then we saw it for almost 90 minutes in this match. But here's what I will say: we play Orlando. It's a new week. Hopefully Acosta's okay. There still hasn't been any news about that yet. Hopefully Teton's okay. Even if they're not, next man up. Like someone's got to step up. I'll be ready for Saturday. I'll be ready to cheer my butt off Saturday, and let's turn it around, Orlando. You know, you said you would probably lose 3-1. Is that realistic? Yeah. I'm gonna go in though, and we'll have we'll have an Orlando preview show out in a few days for the rest of the week. But I'll give my prediction then. But I'm not gonna go 3-1. I'm gonna go back. I'm switching back to my optimistic train even after this week. And I don't want to end on a sour note, even though this was a very sour weekend for FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, we can end on some positive. Tonga in training. Viacia was, I think, here over the weekend. Well, I think individual drills, I think, is the rumor this week with the team the week after that. Some more reinforcements are coming. We really need Viacia to hit the ground running with this team. Another rumored signing of a defensive midfielder out of, I think, the second division, Dutch League, whatever the second air division is called. Whether that's anything good or bad, we'll see. At least maybe we're trying to make some more improvements here. Like, the window's not closed, and the next one opens up in July. So, but more things there. International slots cost money, and we don't have any. So
Yeah,
but
and like we said, you know, Calvin Harris looked better.
yes, looked
Zhao looked better in his position. Kubo looked better in his position. There were positives to take out of this match, and we just hope to see the progression and a semblance of set piece defense in Orlando. We see progression set piece defense. We might be looking at a good match.
yeah. I would
But
say
like I
just
said, we have
in
an Orlando
general,
preview coming out in a few days.
just set pieces in general, just more attention to detail. Like, just receive the ball better under pressure. You know, take a better first touch. Just the small things that a team needs to do to be consistently successful. That's all I want to see. I just want to see the small
Yeah.
things start turning around so we can get in here into PQL Stadium, the one is
No,
West End Stadium, and
correct.
just let them know what it feels like to play in front of the fans here in Cincinnati. That's what I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get to at this point. I just want to get to that first home game, and hopefully they realize what it's like to play here in this city and in not the regular Cincinnati sports history outside, but like FC's history from coming up from USL. The fans want to cheer for you. They want someone to care as much as they do. And the first couple players that buy into that and realize that and get that message across to the rest of them, like that's what I'm hoping for. Just you convince someone on that team of how much this matters to the people here, and I think they can turn it around from there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any I don't know how many more last words we can say, but do you have any last ones?
No, I'm done now. I've talked myself into a hunger, and I have some
Yeah.
Chipotle I believe I'm going to go pick up. So, no, I am done.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good too. So look for the Orlando preview out in a few days, guys. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to our rambling this game, but I'm sure you were just as disappointed as Saturday as we were. But for Nick, I'm Cody. Thanks for listening to another episode of FCC Fan TV. A few days, we'll have the Orlando preview out. See you guys.
Have a good night.